Brace yourself. What's coming isn't just energy. It's a rupture in the ordinary. This isn't a soft transition or some poetic threshold. It doesn't speak in riddles or demand your belief to take effect. The 66 portal arrives with exacting force. It warps the tempo of reality. It defies logic. It snaps fragments into place before you even recognize they were out of alignment. And though this isn't the full infamous sequence you might expect, it's no accident that it echoes it. If you want to move with this current, not against it, you need to grasp what it truly means. The truth is, this portal doesn't behave like the others. It doesn't follow the spiritual cliches or the usual energetic fluff. It moves in the background until it doesn't. Oh, and if you've recently watched a bad situation unexpectedly flip into something good, feel free to share it below. And if you want to lock in that energy, you can drop 999 along with your comment, because what this portal is doing is just getting started. And in a moment, I'll tell you why. Being alone during this portal's peaks isn't optional. It's essential. If you're surrounded by the wrong energy during this portal, it can distort your entire experience. There are certain frequencies that aren't meant to be shared. The 66 portal isn't like a concert or a group meditation. It's not communal. It's intimate. When it peaks, it tunes into the core of your field, not the people around you, not the collective, just you. But here's the issue. If you're surrounded by people who are anxious, overly logical, emotionally unstable, or simply skeptical, their energy fields can interfere with the way this portal flows through your life. It's like trying to hear a sacred whisper in a room full of static. You might catch fragments, but the full message, lost. When you're alone, something powerful happens. Your field softens, your heart calibrates, your intuition activates. You become a clean signal. That's when the right thoughts drop in. That's when a decision you've been stuck on suddenly feels effortless. That's when the manifestations start to lock. When energy shifts in the unseen, the visible world doesn't stay quiet for long. As the 66th portal opens, the individual experience is only one layer of the unfolding. What's more difficult to ignore is the ripple across the collective field. And this is where things start getting strange. Over the next few days, don't be surprised if headlines feel off, if decisions from leaders seem bizarre, if financial markets twitch without logic. You may even catch yourself double-checking a story just to make sure it's real. These aren't just glitches in the system, they're symptoms of pressure building underneath the surface. Because while this portal might seem quiet or symbolic to some, its real effect is in how it subtly dismantles the structures that don't align anymore, globally. Think of it like a subtle override, a background update that forces exposure, corruption that leaks, alliances that fracture, sudden narratives that don't make sense but spark big consequences. Truth doesn't always arrive with a spotlight. Sometimes it leaks through the cracks. There's also a dissonance rising between what people feel and what they're being told. The collective gut instinct is getting louder. People aren't just watching anymore, they're sensing when something's off. And this portal is a trigger for that heightened awareness. So if you feel like the world is acting weird, you're not imagining it. These are the early tremors of a larger energetic calibration. It may start with confusion, but it always ends in realignment. And that realignment, it's not accidental. It's part of what this portal came here to activate. But there's one detail in particular that adds tension to this year's 66, and it's hiding in the number itself. Symbols don't need to be complete to stir something deep. Every year brings us a 66 date, but this one feels different, not because of what it is, but because of what it almost is. One digit away from one of the most culturally loaded numbers in human memory, 666, the so-called number of the beast. And while we're not here to push fear, mythology, or dogma, we do need to talk about what this pattern does to the collective psyche, because even if you're not thinking about it consciously, the energy around that number still echoes. It triggers something primal, an inherited memory of mistrust, fear, loss of control. And this 66, it brushes just close enough to stir those instincts. You might notice it in people's behavior, suspicion, irritability, a sudden urge to defend things that don't even matter. That's the nervous system reacting to a pattern it barely understands. Numbers are codes, and codes are remembered even when forgotten. But here's where it gets interesting. This isn't 666. It's just near enough to activate us, but not to destroy us. That means it could be a warning, or better yet, a preparation. A test run of how we respond under subtle pressure without the full weight of the feared symbol. Instead of being trapped in superstition, this portal offers the chance to flip the energy, to take what used to mean fear and repurpose it into awareness. Because if the collective is flinching but you're steady, that creates space for clarity, sovereignty, and a massive personal edge in what's coming next. Something walks through the 66 portal, and it's not looking for peace. This portal doesn't just connect you to higher light. It thins the membrane, opens a soft, unguarded crack between layers of reality. And while that lets in clarity, power, and alignment, it also lets in things that weren't invited. This is the day when not everything that crosses over is here for your growth. There are entities, spiritual, energetic, parasitic, that ride in through open frequencies. They're not cinematic or theatrical. No jump scares, no whispers in the dark, just a presence that feels like something's brushing up against your field, watching, waiting, looking for a light to cling to. Not all darkness arrives with thunder. Some just wants to sit in your glow until you forget it's there. You might notice it in small ways first, a weird shift in mood, a drop in energy that doesn't match your day, a wave of doubt, fatigue, or anxiety that appears without a cause. These are not your emotions, they're distortions, and sometimes they walk in wearing faces you recognize. The 66 portal amplifies resonance, so people who've always had draining energy might suddenly feel unbearable to be around. The friend who always needs but never gives. The conversation that leaves you tired, not lifted. The interaction that seems normal on the surface but leaves you feeling emptied. These aren't just coincidences, they're spiritual hitchhikers, entities that can't generate their own light, so they seek yours. And the worst part? This portal makes you louder to them, more visible, a beacon. But remember, you do not owe your energy to everything that notices it. Just because they find you doesn't mean they get to stay. Set boundaries. Be alone when you need to. Trust the sudden urge to unplug from someone, even if nothing bad has happened. Presence is power, and sometimes your silence is a shield. And this gets even more intense during the nights around the portal, because that's when the veil lifts in the most personal way. If your dreams feel louder, it's because they are. The night doesn't lie. During a portal, in the days surrounding the 66th portal, normal sleep doesn't exist. Not because you're anxious, not because of stress, because your internal clock is being rewired. Physically, spiritually, energetically. You might find yourself waking up at odd hours, not because of noise, but because your body suddenly needs to be awake. And for some, sleep doesn't break. It deepens, but not in a peaceful way. Vivid dreams become cinematic, symbolic. People from your past showing up uninvited. Symbols that don't make sense yet feel too real to ignore. Conversations with beings you don't recognize but instinctively trust. Dreams are how your higher self speaks when your ego finally shuts up. These dreams aren't just downloads, they're transmissions, clues, warnings, instructions. Not always literal, but always layered with meaning. Even if you don't remember them clearly, your body does. That odd sensation in the morning, like you've been somewhere that's not just in your head, that's the travel, that's the imprint. And for those who don't dream, You might feel exhausted, as if you've been working all night. That's because on a soul level, you probably have. Rest is happening, but it's multidimensional. This is a recalibration, not a malfunction. The portal isn't breaking you, it's retuning you. And as your nights get stranger, the coming days will begin to make more sense. The mind hesitates. The intuition knows. Something wild happens when the 66 portal reaches its apex. You stop second-guessing yourself and start remembering what you already knew. During this time, logic doesn't get erased, but it steps aside. You may find yourself making decisions you can't explain, saying yes or no without knowing why, walking away from something that felt perfectly fine yesterday, or suddenly reaching out to someone without thinking it through. And here's the twist. These irrational urges often turn out to be exactly what was needed. A spontaneous detour that leads you to a key encounter. A weird instinct to skip an event, only to find out something went sideways. An unexplained inner voice that tells you, that person isn't safe, or this isn't your opportunity, even though everything looks perfect on the outside. Intuition is the soul's memory trying to remind the mind what it forgot. This is the result of the portal amplifying the inner compass, the one that's always been there, but is usually drowned out by logic, noise, overthinking, or social pressure. Now, during 66, it's louder than ever. But that also means your life may start to feel more chaotic on the surface. Why? Because your decisions stop making sense to those around you. You're no longer operating from rational steps, you're operating from inner truth. And yes, that can make people uncomfortable. But the 66 portal doesn't care about comfort. It cares about alignment. You'll be drawn towards certain people, away from others. Suddenly uninterested in things you used to love. Unexplainably fixated on new directions that seem out of nowhere. You're not losing it. You're tuning in. And if the voice inside gets louder than the voices outside, let it. That's not noise. It's navigation. Stop asking if it's logical. Start asking if it's aligned. Coincidence is what we call it when the invisible decides to show off. There's something strange happening during the 66 portal, and many of you have already started feeling it. Like an unseen force is moving pieces around behind the curtain. You miss a train only to find out something happened on the next stop. You bump into someone you haven't seen in years, right when you needed to. You avoid disaster by a second. You land an opportunity you never applied for. A wrong turn leads you to the exact place you were meant to be. This isn't randomness. It's the hidden hand. And no, it's not some shadowy force of control. It's a form of divine rearrangement. It's subtle, elegant, almost theatrical in the way it sets the stage. Like an invisible script is being followed, and you're being nudged gently but firmly to your next scene. The more you trust it, the more it reveals. What's wild is how quiet it all is. No grand trumpet, no neon signs, just perfectly timed interventions. Just the right people, the right exits, the right accidents. But the real key, you have to recognize it while it's happening, because the more you try to control it, the harder it becomes to feel. This isn't about chasing signs, it's about letting yourself be moved by something that doesn't need to explain itself. During the 66 portal, these invisible nudges are working overtime, not to test you, not to confuse you, but to show you that you are never walking alone. And when you surrender to that guidance, doors open, literally, spiritually, energetically. Paths that were blocked begin to clear. Ideas that felt impossible suddenly flow. And protection. It steps in before you even know you needed it. You're not lucky. You're aligned. There's a difference. So don't panic when your plans fall apart. Don't overthink when things suddenly just work out. The hand is moving. Let it move. And what it brings you next might just be the thing you stopped believing was possible. If you think it ends on 66, you're already behind. Let's be very clear. June 6th is not the peak. It's the spark. What activated on this date doesn't come to full form on the day. It sets a charge in motion, a ripple, a countdown, a code embedded in real time. And most people won't even realize they were standing at the edge of something until it's already passed them by. Here's what most won't tell you. You have from June 6th to June 16th. That's your window. The ignition sequence has already started, but what catches fire next depends on what you allowed yourself to tune into when the portal first opened. 66 isn't the destination, it's the ignition key. It's not about the rituals or the crystals or the full moon playlists. It's about whether or not you were still enough to catch the signal. Because if you missed it, your next 10 days will feel chaotic, out of sync, scrambled. But if you caught it, even subtly, then the days after 66 will feel like something is assembling itself around you. Ideas will appear in fragments and form. People will reach out randomly. Conversations you had months ago suddenly become relevant. The clarity will come in waves, not one loud announcement. That's why this isn't about climax, it's about sequence. Each day after 66 is part of the unfolding. Each hour could carry another shift, another unlock, another alignment. But here's the plot twist. This portal wasn't designed to give. It was designed to test your presence, your attention, your receptivity. It asked, could you hear the subtle before the loud? Could you recognize the pull before the proof? Could you stay open when nothing made logical sense? Because the portal isn't done, it just moved out of view, and now it's watching who actually showed up when the signal was broadcast. So if something in you clicked on June 6th, no matter how small, then buckle up, because what's coming next will start to show you why you were called. Distraction isn't just noise, it's the enemy of your signal. You're going to notice something strange between now and mid-June. Opportunities are rising. Clarity is peeking through, but at the same time, everything around you is trying to pull you in 10 directions at once. People suddenly need you, tasks pile up, notifications get louder. Your own mind starts creating worries that weren't even there 2 days ago. This is not random. This is part of the test. Because here's what the 66 portal does. It amplifies both signal and interference. You get access to higher awareness, yes, but you also get swarmed with distraction, emotional static, sudden cravings, drama loops or energy drains you thought you already outgrew. Focus is no longer just helpful, it's sacred. What's being tested now isn't your spirituality, it's your attention. Can you stay centered in your intentions even while the noise gets louder? Can you keep your hand on the thread of your path even while life yells at you to look elsewhere? Because those who pass this test, who choose silence over stimulation, stillness over drama, clarity over chaos, they often experience breakthroughs right after this window closes. And it's not the kind of breakthrough you can force. It comes from holding your alignment like a lighthouse through the fog. So if your world feels like it's spinning faster right now, pause. Ask, what's actually important here? What part of this is real, and what part is just noise trying to hijack the signal I just received? Because the portal already activated your frequency. Now it's watching if you can hold it. The distraction is the decoy. The focus is the doorway. Stay in your lane, eyes on your path, and don't let the world shake what the portal already confirmed, because the ones who hold their line now, they won't need to chase the breakthrough. It'll arrive right on time. This portal doesn't visit, it marks. You might scroll through the day, handle your routines, respond to texts, eat lunch and think, was that it? But don't let the stillness fool you. Something already started, something has already been rewritten. The 66 portal doesn't always make an entrance with thunder and fireworks. Sometimes it just brushes past your timeline and leaves behind a ripple that doesn't reveal itself until days or even weeks later. Because what this portal touches, it does not leave untouched. It imprints, it recalibrates, it redefines direction without asking for permission. You may not have noticed the shift when it happened, but the path you're walking a week from now, it's not the same one you were on a week ago, a choice that suddenly feels obvious, a door you didn't see before that now won't stop glowing. Sometimes the shift is subtle, but irreversible. That's what makes this portal different. It's not loud, it's permanent. It doesn't announce itself, it anchors itself. And it won't check if you're ready before it decides it's time. Some of you will trace it back later. You'll connect dots you didn't know were dots. You'll have a conversation, receive a call, stumble into an idea, and something inside will say, this wouldn't have happened if not for 66. It'll click, it'll land, and in that moment you'll understand. This wasn't just energy, it was a signature, the kind that marks new timelines. That ends one story without a warning and begins a new one without a title. And here's the final piece you need to remember. Not all transformation feels like transformation until you try to go back. Because some of you might try. You'll try to reach for the old version of something, the old feeling, the old desire, the old pattern, and it just won't respond. Not because you did something wrong, but because the portal already turned the page. And your job now is to stop rereading what the universe already finished writing. So breathe deep. Stay clear, stay open, and above all, trust what this day did, even if you can't name it yet. Because what this portal touched in you, it didn't come to shake things temporarily, it came to change them permanently, and if you let it, it could be the mark that finally realigns everything. If you're still with me, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this content and want to see more, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It truly means a lot. I'd also love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below and share your experiences. Until next time, take care and be sure to subscribe for more valuable insights.